Yo guys, what is going on? Today I am going over how I practiced, how many hours I practiced, and other habits that got me to my first $1,000 earnings from official Fortnite tournaments. The first habit that is absolutely crucial if you want to make money in Chapter 3 is never saying you play with bad teammates. In some tournaments, I found myself complaining because I played with a bad teammate. But I very quickly understood that I want to be a good enough player, whereas it doesn't really matter how bad my teammates are. I should be able to play to the level of being able to clutch up even when my teammate milks. So instead of being a little crybaby and complaining about my duo dying first in a fight, I rather kept it real to myself and said I should have clutched that situation. This mentality shift got me much further, and trust me when I tell you that you'll be able to clutch way more games with this mentality, instead of instantly thinking about the fact that you're playing with a bad player when your teammate dies first in one of your fights. The second thing I had to understand was that no one has accidentally ever become great at Fortnite. So this might not make a lot of sense, but for the longest time, I was at a level which was quite a lot above average, but I wasn't good enough to make earnings. But I still had this thought that if I just had my day or got lucky, that I could make some earnings with the current skill that I had. And I feel like a lot of you guys watching can relate to this kind of mentality, because some days when you're playing top tier. You never seem to lose any fights and you just have your day. But unfortunately, these days rarely come on tournament days. So what I had to understand was that I had to work if I wanted to get some earnings. Before I made earnings, I played for an average of probably 2 hours a day. And when I made my first earnings, I went from playing 2 hours a day to 6 hours a day. Moving on with the video, one of the most performance increasing things I've ever added to my routine before tournaments is getting in a proper warm-up. This one is a must. Something I do before every tournament, and if I don't do it, my performance in the tournament will drop significantly. So why is a warm-up so important, and what do I do to warm up properly? A warm-up is important for me because it increases my mechanical consistency and how consistent my aim is. And as we all know, one missed shot or one missed edit can be the difference between making money in a tournament and completely missing out. The warm-up that I do now before every tournament is 3 rounds of headshot only FFA with striker, and then at least 10 rounds of realistic 1v1s against someone good. This is a ridiculously simple yet super effective warm-up that gets your aim and your mechanics fully warmed up and ready to play and perform in the tournament you're about to go into. Next up, I want to talk about playing as aggressively as possible in both arena and customs. When it comes to arena, it's very simple. You want to W key and fight absolutely everyone you see. W keying and fighting as many opponents as possible every game will lead to the quickest rate of improvement, in comparison to making the fatal mistake of playing endgame in your arena matches. If you really want to make money in this game, always fight everyone you see when playing arena. So how much arena did I play in order to get my first $1,000 in earnings? Truthfully, not that much. Arena is a great way to get a very general understanding of how to play fights against relatively bad players. But when it comes to playing and winning in high elo lobbies in cash cups, or winning games in round 2s or 3s in FNCS, Arena really isn't relevant for your success in these games. In order to become someone who consistently makes money, you gotta play customs. And a lot of people come to me and ask, what customs should I play? What is the best Discord server for players with low PR trying to improve and make some money in this game? The best server in Europe is without a doubt Noble Division 3 for players that have low PR. In order to get into this server, you either gotta get top 15 in a Noble practice server ladder that they host every now and then. I'll leave a link to that Discord in the description of this video, or you can follow the @NoblePrac server Twitter, turn on notifications, and be one of the first to join when they post invite links to Noble Div 3. They post invites a couple of times a week. If you can't get into Noble Div 3, then playing Zonal Customs and playing confidently in them is one of the best ways to exponentially improve. What's really important when playing these Zonal Customs is that you actually make it to the moving zones. But don't get me wrong, you want to try and be confident and take some box fights as well. Learn how people react when you're going aggressively in on them in these stacked lobbies. And it's also really great to take some fights, because if you have bad awareness during your fights, you'll get punished heavily by the other players in your custom. Coming in next, I want to talk about playing a lot against creative warriors. Creative warriors are truly the next generation of Fortnite talents. There are players that only play creative that could have probably made tens of thousands of dollars off this game with the right duo teammate and a very tiny amount of work put into customs. If you have a friend that is very good at creative and you get the chance to 1v1 him every day, then you should definitely do that. The reason playing against a creative warrior is so good is because he won't allow you to get any opportunities to shoot him. So you have to actively play to force a mistake from him. Additionally, he will punish you for every mistake you make. This way, you'll learn a lot from failing over and over, because you'll understand after dying again and again that you probably have some pretty bad habits you want to try and get rid of. Playing an hour a day against a great creative fighter will be one of the most effective ways to use your time. And I can genuinely say that it has helped me a lot with fixing bad habits, bad peaks, and I've learned more and more to force mistakes in the opponents I'm fighting. Lastly, in today's video, I want to add that you have to always play to qualify and or make money in the tournaments you play. And not just play for a decent placement. A lot of times, new players to the scene place their last game out in a duo or solo cash cup, needing around 45 points to qualify. And instead of going for 20 kills, they go for playing safe and securing a good placement on the leaderboard. And you might argue that playing for PR is a good long-term investment, because the more PR you have, the better teammates you can potentially play with in the future. And if you want to take that approach, then who am I to say anything? But just know that you might very potentially be missing out on making some easy earnings, because getting 20 kills in your last game is surprisingly doable if you just take smart fights. And me, as well as a lot of my friends, have actually made money because of a high kill last game win. So, to summarize how I got my first $1,000 in earnings, I fully stopped complaining about my teammates and put the pressure on myself to be the one to carry in tournaments. I understood that in order to exponentially improve, I had to put in more work into the game, which essentially meant that I had to play 6 hours a day instead of 2 hours a day. I also understood the importance of a proper, good warm-up. The last two things I did was play confidently and aggressively in both arena and customs. And I, of course, also always went for as many kills as needed to either qualify or make money in the tournaments I played. So guys, there you have it. If you have any questions regarding this video or anything else, please leave them in the comments below. And other than that, please go on to have a wonderful day. My name is M1K3 Editz. Stay safe and take care.